Howdy, gang, and I am sans Candice right now. I'm not sure if. Hold on just 1 second, folks. I think something might be wrong with my settings. Okay, that's better. Sometimes I have it on the highest, definition that I can have it, and it makes it have a real weird tint. I know y'all probably don't care to know about that, but I'm glad I got it fixed. So, in any event, I am sans Candace right now. Um, they're starting to get this bad wintry weather, and so Candace is out trying to get shopping done and medications gotten and stuff like that. So hopefully she'll be able to join me here shortly, but y'all, you guys and gals are going to be stuck with me until she gets here. But I was going to do a separate video about this, but I thought since I'm going to be on here by myself for a little bit, I'll go ahead and announce it now. I don't know how many of you guys and gals that are in here this evening were interested when I did the movie Munchies. But I've had, my mom being one of them, she said, "Are you going to bring that cooking back?" She said, "I liked watching you do that." I said, "Well, yeah, eventually I'm going to, but they're not going to be live. They're going to be pre-recorded." Because it just got to be too much, and it would be a lot easier to do them pre-recorded. Now, that'll mean I won't be able to interact with you guys and gals as I'm doing this stuff, but it got where there weren't too many people watching live anyway. I think people probably prefer to watch something like that on the replay anyway. So, I'm bringing the movie Munchies back on a limited basis, January 19th. Because it's pre-recorded, I can't give you a set time. You'll just have to be on the lookout for it. And I have picked a recipe from the Castle Rock Kitchen. These are wicked good recipes from the world of Stephen King. And I saw this book on Amazon and got a pretty good price on it. And Stephen King actually does a foreword for it. This is done by Teresa Carl Sanders, the author of the Outlander Kitchen. I have not seen the Outlander Kitchen book, but I absolutely love this. I have not made one recipe from it yet, but I'm really excited about it. So the recipe that I picked for the return of the movie Munchies is killer mac and cheese based on the grandma short story, because the boy has to, stay with his grandmother while his mother goes and takes care of his brother who's broken his arm or something during a sport. And so he's always been scared of his grandma. And there were whispers that she was a witch and everything. So Georgie, the boy that has been left with his grandmother, who he's terrified of, is fixing himself some mac and cheese at one point in the story. So I thought this one sounded really good, and so I'm gonna give it a whirl. I'm gonna give it a try, and hopefully it will be a good reintroduction to movie munchies, or an introduction to movie munchies for those of you that have never seen me do one of the movie munchies. Now, the if you didn't notice, this is a kind of throw everything at the wall and see what sticks kind of show, and ask us anything New Year's special. So hopefully you guys and gals will throw a few questions out to me, so that I don't look like an idiot here waiting for Candice to come save me. So if there's any questions, please keep it clean, folks. But if there's any, questions you'd want to ask me about, Friday Foolish, about any of the other shows that I do, um, New Year's resolutions, what have you. Um, oh, okay, the poet, that's a good one. Thank you for saving me, buddy. You say, okay, I have a question. Top 3 non-horror movies. Okay. So, let's see. Now, you're going to make this hard on me, the poet, aren't you? Because that's top 3. Uh, so I really like Forrest Gump. I've always liked Forrest Gump, and that is definitely a non-horror movie. So I'd have to put that there. Let me think here. So Forrest Gump's definitely up there. Shoot. Trying to think here, the poet. Oh, bear with me. I just had COVID, so I think probably one of my other favorite movies, and this might change, but this is for today. Coal Miner's Daughter. Even though I am not a country music fan by any stretch of the imagination, I have always loved Coal Miner's Daughter. I've loved the story of Loretta Lynn. I think Loretta Lynn's story was very, very interesting and moving and all of that. So that would definitely be up there for me. And I would have to say, and this is a Christmas one, and you probably heard me talk about it, It's a Wonderful Life. So I would say, I don't know if I could put them in a certain order, to poet, but Coal Miner's Daughter, Forrest Gump, and It's a Wonderful Life. And hey, Chris is top 3 non-horror for me will probably be The Goonies, The Terminator, and Terminator 2. Those are all very, very good ones. Hey, Russell. I think I'm on the mend, Russell. My voice kind of goes in and out, but today is the first day that I really felt like doing something. And so, because I didn't get to take all the Christmas decorations down the weekend after Christmas because me and Steve got slammed with COVID. I said, well, I'm going to do that today. So I took all the ornaments off the tree. Steve's going to take down the tree probably tomorrow. But I took all the ornaments off of it to make it easier for him. Got all the other Christmas stuff taken down and put away in the totes and put back in the garage because, they don't know what we're going to have. They don't know if we're going to have a bad ice storm. They don't know if we're going to have a bunch of snow. They just don't know if it's going to be a mixture of things. So I thought I better get on this Christmas stuff because if we lose power and it's, as cold as they say it's going to be, I don't think that I'm going to be wanting to go out there and mess around with totes and all that. So today I'm feeling pretty good, Russell. I appreciate you asking. Ah, Russell, that's good. Stand By Me, Pope of Greenwich Village, and Thief. All very good ones, especially Stand By Me. I'm a sucker when it comes to Stephen King adaptations. That would definitely be at the top of my list, too. So if anybody else has any, more questions for me, fire away, and I'll be glad to try to answer them to the best of my ability. I did want to remind everybody too that January 11th should be me and Steve, unless we lose power and we're without power for a while. Me and Steve are planning on doing the watch along for Roadhouse on January the 11th at 7 p.m. on a Saturday. So, wanted y'all to keep that in mind. Also, still got plenty of product on the shop at deaditesondeck.com, including the candles. If you were here for the horror double features candles, the commercial, you can get those for $30. Oh, good question, Chris. Chris says, what movie is your favorite where the cast is comprised mainly of kids? Um, that would probably have to be like Goonies. Goonies is probably, there are adults in Goonies. Either Goonies or if you're talking about non-horror, if you're talking about horror, I would say something like It, like the original It, because I thought the kids that played the kids, as they were when they were children, was just amazing, absolutely amazing cast of kids for that, and same with the Goonies. So I gave you two. I gave you one non-horror and one horror. Hey, Candice. Candice says, just getting out. We feel like Jack at the end of the Shining. Well, you better get warm, Candice. Get warm, honey. Well, thank you, first of all, for the $5 super chat, Russell. And if I can find a copy of the movie, I will definitely do that. Let me write that down right now, Russell. Okay. And since, Russell gave a $5 super chat and mentioned watch along for Thief, I may have to enlist Steve's help with that. So I'm going to try my best, Russell, to do that. And thank you for the $5 super chat again. Um, Also, Russell reminded me, since this is a live stream, I'm still doing the, if you give a $5 super chat or more, you can throw your hat in the ring to choose a movie for me to do an upcoming watch along on. It's on YouTube. Awesome. Thank you, Russell. But so any more questions y'all got for me? Just fire away. If anybody wants to give a $5 super chat or more, um, you know, otherwise, uh, and Russell might be happy about that. You know, if nobody else throws their hat in the ring, then uh, Russell will definitely get his for a Saturday. If a second person throws their hat in the ring, they can pick one for the next Sunday. I do one. You have a Criterion Blu-ray for that one, Russell? Cool. The Poets, you want to know favorite comedy film? Favorite comedy film. Let me think here. The Poet's good at the, and Chris came up with some good ones too, or a good one too for me. Trying to think here. Favorite comedy film. I like a lot of the classic comedians and their their comedy movies. So, um, but then there's so many I like. It's hard for me to pick a favorite with comedies, the poet, because I like things like stuff that Chevy Chase is in, like the National Lampoon's movies. Um, I love like the early Police Academy movies. I love those. Um, I love the stuff that Richard Pryor and Gene Wilder did together. I mean, just that is a hard one. That is really hard for me to pick a favorite one. And speaking of Eddie Murphy, I saw you said mine is Eddie Murphy Raw. I actually like, if we want to talk about Eddie Murphy, I actually like Delirious better than I do Raw. I have both of them. But if I had to say my favorite between those, I would say Delirious definitely. But Raw runs a close second for me. Russell, you said the buddy cop film Freebie and the Bean with James Caan and Alan Arkin. I don't think I've seen that one. You must be a huge fan of James Caan, Russell. I like James Caan as well. Okay, Chris says Zach Galligan, who played Billy in Gremlins, beat out Tom Hanks, Emilio Estevez, Rob Lowe, and Judd Nelson for the part. If you could choose one of those for the part, which would it be? You know what? This may sound weird, Chris, but I'd like to see what Tom Hanks could have done with it. If Zach Galligan didn't get it, I would have liked to see what Tom Hanks could do, because I'm like the biggest Tom Hanks fan ever. That's probably why. I mean, I love Emilio Estevez, love Rob Lowe and Judd Nelson, but Tom Hanks edges all those guys out. Oh yeah, Wise Guys with Danny DeVito and Joe Piscopo. Yeah, I think I've seen that one. It didn't shoot. Did De Palma do that, Russell? Or am I thinking of something else there? Because I was thinking I watched that a while back. when I was doing the Palma films. Y'all are keeping me afloat, guys. Keep going here. Uh, I don't. I kind of hate to have dead space. Um, Here we go, Chris. Tom Hanks also auditioned for the role of Gerald that Judge Reinhold ended up playing. Yeah, that's right. I think I would have liked to seen him play the Billy part better because the Judge Reinhold, the Gerald part's kind of an asshole. Russell, you say it's a great comedy. Yeah, I remember it being a really funny one. That's what I like about Russell too. He's he's pretty well versed in film of all kinds, and so is Chris, and so is the poet. I mean, all you guys, and Candice is. Chris, you said kind of sad for Tom Hanks, but he did end up working with Joe Dante in The Burbs. Yes, he did, and he was great in The Burbs. Candace says she's coming, so now I told her not to rush because I knew there were things that she had to do, and they're starting to get some. Is the weather still bad there, Chris? Is it getting worse or is it about the same? Candace is going to come save me from being dull and boring. DePoe, you say you like music. Name some favorite music videos. Well, probably one of my all-time favorite music videos is Thriller. And I mean, that might sound kind of cliche, but I mean, to me, that is the most masterful music video ever done. I like George Harrison's Got My Mind Set on You. I always thought that that was a fun video. Um, I like a lot of, I know that a lot of people might consider Weird Al like just comedy dribble or whatever, but I always liked his music videos. I thought they were funny. Um, like a Surgeon, which is a parody of Madonna's Like a Virgin. I always, Eat It and all that stuff. I always thought those were fun. I'm trying to think here. You Can Call Me Al. Um, or is it You Can Call Me Al? Is that what it's called? That hold on a second, because I like fun. Yeah, You Can Call Me Al. That video with Chevy Chase that Paul Simon did. I always liked it. Like I said, I like those fun, kind of carefree type of videos. Um, Russell, you say Rob Lowe was great in the Canadian hockey film Youngblood. I still need to watch that. Patrick Swayze and Keanu Reeves first film together, then Point Break. Exactly. And I see Candace, and I'm just about to add her. I think she's in her car. Bless her heart. Uh, Russell says, "Love the Burbs with Bruce Dern, and to hell with Corey Feldog." Well, I still like Corey Feldman. I can't help it, but but I love Bruce Dern as well. I love everybody on the Burbs. That movie's really cool. So without further ado, I'm gonna add Candace here.
Hey,
Hey, Candace.
I hope you can hear me. I don't know if
Yeah.
Chris told you or not, but the computer is kind of down right now. Uh, getting
Oh
ready
my
to
goodness.
be repaired, so the fan is making a noise, so um, and my computer don't have a good camera on it. Can you hear
Uh,
me really good?
yeah, I can hear you good.
Okay, good. Don't hear any kind of vibrations or nothing.
Not right now, but I don't want you to freeze to death, Candace.
I'm in the car. I've got the heat on.
All right, I hope you got it blasting on you because I definitely wouldn't want you to freeze.
It's cold. It's really cold right now. It says it's just 33 degrees, but it feels the wind to blow you literally.
That wind chill is, yeah, it's bad.
Yeah. So I can't see comments or anything, so I'll rely on you.
Oh, okay, so can you see them if I put them up on the screen? Like, okay, so I'll make sure I do that because Chris says he likes Feldman too.
I like Corey Feldman as well.
I mean, Corey Feldman is a damaged man. I've said that many times before, but as an actor, I still
Yeah,
like him a lot.
well, I mean, everybody has their flaws and stuff, and um, you if you don't like somebody, you don't like them. But I've never had a problem with him.
Mhm. And Chris also says, no, our laptop's camera sucks. LOL.
Yeah, it's not like my son's. His is really high quality. So that's the one that's kind of down right now with the fan thing. Sorry it's taking so long, and sorry I wasn't on here at the beginning. Uh,
Oh, no problem. They were throwing some questions. Good. Chris was coming up with good questions to Poet.
well, if we
Uh,
have a lack and people asking questions, just throw me some that's already been asked. I guess.
well, let's see. The Poet, the first, let me go back up here a little bit. The Poet asked me top three non horror movies, and I had to think a little bit on that.
Beetlejuice is my favorite movie. Willy Wonka is my second, and my third would probably be. Hmm. I don't know. I'd have to sit and think about it. But Beetlejuice definitely. Willy Wonka is one of the greatest movies ever made for me. Um, I don't know what my third favorite is. I love a lot of movies. I love the Harry Potter films, especially the first
Mm.
one. I love Mary Poppins. I love all kinds of movies. I don't know, Dana. What was your top three?
I told the Poet, I said it's hard for me to like put them in an order, but I had Forrest Gump
Yeah, I love Forrest Gump.
and Coal Miner's Daughter because even though I'm not a country music fan, the life of Loretta Lynn is just so interesting
I
to
am
me.
a fan of that era. I'm classic
Mhm.
classic country. Yeah.
And then what did I say that I had it in my head and it just slipped right out? Dang COVID. I'm gonna blame it on COVID.
Getting everything.
Oh, It's a Wonderful Life.
Oh, well, that's the greatest Christmas movie ever made, most definitely. I don't know. I love a lot of non-horror films that mean a lot to me. Here's one I'm gonna pull out of left field. Talking about a gangster movie is Angels with Dirty Faces, the inspiration for the Home Alone film.
Yeah, the Angels with Filthy Souls or whatever.
James Cagney and Pat O'Brien. That movie is, and Humphrey Bogart's in it. Um, that film is absolutely amazing.
Mm.
I love it. I won't give anything away about it, but if you know anything about Cagney or anything, he was just a phenomenal actor, especially in the gangster film era, But that's his best. To me, that's his best work. I mean, he did stuff like Yankee Doodle Dandy and stuff, but I like him in the gangster roles, and that's
I
particular.
think I've seen Yankee Doodle Dandy. I think Steve was watching it at one time. But I need to watch the Angels with Dirty Faces because I like Cagney. I mean, I
Oh,
think he was very, very accomplished and fantastic actor. So
Oh, definitely, definitely. But yeah, I love comedy. I'll tell you one that's probably I don't know where it ranks, but it's right up there. My very very favorite film is The Burbs. Uh,
yeah,
that one is very special because it was one that I shared with the love with my dad and my grandpa, and that was one that I always watched with them. But that movie to me is a masterpiece. The
yeah,
Burbs,
it's fantastic.
greatest movies ever made. And Another one, Nothing But Trouble. I mean, that's such
Mm.
considered a cult classic, but I really do. I think it was initially a flop, but to me, that's some of Dan Aykroyd and Chevy Chase
Oh,
best work. It's got one of the funniest scenes ever was where he gets that dick nose, you know.
yeah, I need to watch that again. It's been a while since I watched it.
Yeah, and even Demi Moore is great in that.
Yeah,
That's another one that I shared a love with my grandpa and dad and stuff.
I shared the love of the Burbs with my dad. I mean, the top film though that me and my dad would drop everything for, and I've mentioned this over and over again, is Jaws.
Yeah.
Um, that was a movie that I just every time it was on, if it was on TV, if Dad was channel surfing and he came across it, we would just stop whatever we were doing and we would watch it. That was me and my dad's movie. It always
Oh,
was for
yeah.
me.
Yeah. I mean, it's just wonderful. And me and Chris watched, and I hadn't watched it in years upon years upon years, but as a kid, I was obsessed with it. It was Gremlins 2. Um,
Uh-huh.
and even though I hadn't probably watched it in 20 years, I could say all the lines and stuff. So that's one that really that I had a kid, you know, as a kid I loved, and as a kid I was obsessed with Gremlins 2, Willow, and ET.
Yeah, yeah. I think I went through a spell of being obsessed with ET, but I think I've told everybody the story of how my cousin Heather was terrified of ET, and when ET first came out, she was terrified of it, and then my aunt Pam thought, well, they had a revival of it like a few
Yeah.
years later, and she thought, well, maybe Heather will be over her fear of ET. No,
Oh no, I
Heather kept me up all night long screaming that she saw ET with his glowing chest and his glowing finger, and I mean, who is scared of ET? But she was terrified of him when he turned all white, when it looked like he was gonna die and
oh,
stuff. So
breaks my heart whenever that happens to him.
yeah, it breaks my heart too, but not hers.
Uh, I
Uh,
can't break my heart. I have a soft heart when it comes to Gizmo and, and ET.
yeah.
Oh, they brought
Um, Chris did ask. He said, "What movie is your favorite where the cast is comprised mainly of kids?" And I gave two. I said The Goonies for a non-horror, It for horror, the
yeah.
original It.
But I'm a huge fan. I love the Goonies. Goonies is one of my favorite. I'm a huge fan, like I said, of Willy Wonka, and that has a lot of chill. I mean, it has adults too, but it's focuses on the children as well. But I also love The Sound of Music. Um,
Uh huh.
that's one that I really really love as well. It's got a lot of kids in it, and I mean, Julie Andrews is probably the focus of the film, but I really love that one. But To be honest, probably Potter is probably my favorite of all time. Any of the Harry Potter, especially the first couple, I really have a soft spot in my heart. To me, the Harry Potter series and the books are
Hmm.
just some of the most amazing things that I've ever seen in my life. I mean, it's like magical. It's kind of like going to Disney World, Disneyland, or something.
Right.
Feel magical whenever, or I do when I watch the films, when I read the books. It's like the ultimate fantasy world, for
Mhm.
me. I was obsessed with wizards as a kid, early night or late 90s, early 2000s. I had the bedroom with the celestial stars and stuff, and I had little wizards with dragons and stuff all in my room. So that was just like, and around that time is when Harry Potter the books. I got into the Harry Potter books. That's way before the movies
Right.
came out, and I read the first book, and it was just like, this is the most amazing thing I've ever read in my life, because it was just pure fantasy. It was just everything that anybody could ever want in something. And I know some people probably, I know there's been some kind of negativity coming out about the author and stuff, but I try to separate that. You know what I mean? It's hard,
Right.
but I have such a love for it, and my kid, loves it, and my nephews, and it was, something I really love. So, and watching them grow up, because they were kids in the beginning of the film series, and then you actually watch them grow up as the films progress and stuff. So that was fun too.
Mhm. Now, The Sandlot was another one I just thought of, and I'm not even like a fan of baseball, but if
No,
a film is good, I really like it. So,
yeah, that's one that I enjoy as well, which I always liked baseball films. Angels in the Outfield was another one that I loved. I thought that was a really good film growing up, and I
I
enjoyed.
mean, I liked Field of Dreams and stuff like that. Those weren't kid movies, but
Yeah.
and what was that other one? Oh gosh, I'm trying to remember.
Does it have? Is it a comedy?
No, it's For Love of the Game. That's the one
Okay.
I was trying to think of.
Is it like? Is
Um,
that it?
um, could you say that again, Candace? Because you broke up just a little bit.
I said, is that one with kids, or is that one with like adults?
No, that one's got adults in it. I think Sam Raimi did that one.
Mm, I've
I
heard
think.
of it. I've seen it.
Mm-hmm. And let's see. Um, the poet asked favorite comedy film, which that was hard for me to pin out because there's so many comedies that I love.
Well, comedy is where I absolutely love comedy films. Um, I love a lot of classic comedy. I love Scared Stiff, Dean Martin, Jerry Lewis. I love anything Dean Martin, Jerry Lewis. Not Jerry Lewis by himself, but he has to have Dean Martin with him. And my dad himself, he loved
uh,
stuff like that. But I'm a Dean Martin, Jerry Lewis fan of them being together. So Scared Stiff's a huge one for me. I love all the Chevy Chase films. And my dad was a huge Chevy Chase.
mhm.
So I grew up watching all the
My
vacation,
dad too.
just all the other Fletch. He liked Fletch and uh, just all those movies. And I mean, Ghostbusters, I think you would consider, and Back to the Future. I mean, they're not comedy, but it's got comedy in it. Uh,
Right.
but like pure comedy, I grew up watching a lot of Richard Pryor and Gene Wilder films.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff like that.
I mentioned those too.
Yeah, yeah. Busting Loose. My dad was
Stir Crazy was a big one that
right.
me and my that dad would always talk like that. We bad, we bad. And they,
How evil, how evil.
yeah, all of those.
My dad loved Richard Pryor. He loved Gene Wilder. I love Gene Wilder as well. I love Richard Pryor
Mhm.
as well. But yeah, I always love those films. I don't know. There's so many great comedies. It's kind of hard to pinpoint. Because I also
Yeah.
love Bill and Ted and the Wayne's World. Wayne's World was huge for me. The two Wayne's World films.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I always liked, a lot of films like the Ace Ventura and the Mask and Jim Carrey was huge for me growing up.
Yeah.
Uh, so I was a kid, whenever he was producing you know putting out all those movies and stuff, and uh, Dumb and Dumber and the Cable Guy and all that stuff.
I remember I went to the movies with my cousin Holly to see Dumb and Dumber.
I seen the majority of them in theater. Yeah, we went to the movies all the time, and if there was a new Jim Carrey movie, I would be there. I even was there on Christmas Eve. I think I've told this before. On Christmas Eve, 1999, when we didn't know if we was going to be alive the next day to watch Man on the Moon. 'Cause I
Mm,
was a huge, huge Taxi fan growing up, and still love um, Andy Kaufman,
yeah.
and they like announced because Nick at Night or TV Land, I think either TV Land or I think it was TV Land. They like was showing Taxi and get prepared for the film to come out and stuff. And when I found out that Jim Carrey was going to be playing Locke or Andy Kaufman, I was like, this is awesome. I was elated,
Right.
and I really liked the film. It was a good film.
Yeah, that one was a good film. I remember seeing it as
I,
well.
I think Andy Kaufman is very underrated these days. He wasn't, back then, but these days he's a very underrated comedian. I mean, he had a very different sense of humor that people took seriously, but I find it hilarious. I mean, the whole stuff with Jerry Lawler, they were friends, but people thought,
Right.
he put him in a neck brace and on what was it, Letterman? Not Letterman, but Johnny Carson. Was it Johnny Carson? Was it?
Oh gosh, I can't remember.
But yeah, I love Andy Kaufman. I thought that he was very underrated, and I was really happy to see that film. See, Jim Carrey did great.
Yeah.
I read that or heard that he had got so into the character he wouldn't come out of it. So he was like actually like living the character even off.
Right. Um, Chris, I wanted to bring this one up too because this is an interesting question. I wanted to see what you thought of it. So he says Zach Galligan, who played Billy in Gremlins, beat out Tom Hanks, Emilio Estevez, Rob Lowe, and Judd Nelson for the part. If you could choose one of those for the part, which would it be?
Tom Hanks.
I picked Tom Hanks
I
too.
like Rob Lowe. I like Judd Nelson. I like Emilio Estevez. I'm a huge Tom Hanks is one of my top favorite actors of all time. I love Tom
Mhm.
Hanks. Like
Me
like in the
too.
I love Tom Hanks. So to see him in something like that, I think he would have done a good job. But I think they went with the right choice with Zach Gallagher. I think he was, I don't know, he blended well as the character and with Phoebe Cates and stuff. So I think that they meshed well. And that's another film talking about Phoebe Cates.
Uh-huh.
One of my films of all time is Drop Dead Fred with
Yeah.
Rick Mayall fan, the young ones, and
Yeah.
a lot of British comedies. And that one, Drop Dead Fred. I mean, that's one that I've carried all throughout my childhood up to my adulthood. I still love Drop Dead Fred as one of my favorites. So, um, yeah, I mean, I could go on and on about stuff I love. When you try to pinpoint down stuff like that, it's hard.
Yeah. But I like it too that, they're kind of hitting us hard with these questions that we got to think about a little
Yeah.
bit. Now, the poet said to me earlier, he said, "You like music, name some favorite music videos."
Music videos. Oh goodness, I like Rusty Cage by Soundgarden. I like that for plenty of different reasons. Wood, Alice in Chains,
Mm-hmm.
No More Tears, Ozzy Osbourne. That's whenever Mike Inez from Alice in Chains was in the band. He played bass.
Mm-hmm.
I really loved Mike Inez in Alice in Chains. He was their second bassist, but I think that I loved him, with Ozzy as well. I don't know. What do you think, Dana?
Oh, well, I mentioned earlier, I said Thriller, even though that sounds cliche now, but I think that is the most well made music video I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, Thriller's a good one.
Um, and I like fun music videos. Now, I like to listen to music that goes deeper and
Yeah,
stuff like that. But if I watch a music video, I like the fun ones.
oh,
Like I always like George Harrison's Got My Mind Set on You. I
right.
like Paul Simon's You Can Call Me Al with Chevy Chase on
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
Um, Land of Confusion, Genesis is a great one.
Yeah.
That's really, it always remind. I know it's a lot different, but it always reminded me of like all the work that went into like Sledgehammer by Peter Gabriel.
Yeah.
That other one I always like. It's like a lot of stop motion type stuff.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know. I mean, I love all kinds of music videos. Tom Petty was great,
Yeah.
except
Yeah.
the one that
Except the one that
I cannot. Uh, I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, we can't talk about that one because that weirds
Yeah,
Candace now.
that one was had messed me up as a kid. But let's put that aside. It's an interesting video, and most people that I talk to about it love it. So,
Hmm.
you know, yeah, there's so many great music videos. I mean, um, I could sit and probably, if I was prepared, I could write probably a whole book about music videos because I grew up watching, MTV whenever it was rock and roll.
Oh, yeah.
I up watching, Headbangers Ball and back when the stuff was good.
Well, but back when it was actually music stuff and not reality television and stuff like that, I just,
Pearl Jam, that's a good one. I always loved. I love a lot of grunge, so um, I like seeing those types of videos. But then you look back at like stuff kind of before the music video stuff came along, and you see like stuff like from the Mamas and Papas and the Turtles and
yeah.
stuff like that. Like they're like the whole, "Don't Let Me Down," where they're up on the roof of.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's fantastic. Yeah. All of that Let It Be stuff, like if you watch the Let It Be film, when I first like went cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs over the
yeah.
Beatles, after the anthology came out and stuff, I would everything Beatle related I could get my hands on, and I got would get videotapes at
Oh,
that time. So I had Magical Mystery Tour, I had Hard Day's Night, I had Help, and I got Let It Be, and I was just mesmerized by that, just watching them perform.
oh yeah, definitely. And another one that I just thought of that I always loved was Dream Warriors by Doc, and I love Doc, and they're one of my favorite.
Yes.
A lot of Ozzy is his stuff is really really cool. I loved a lot of his a lot of his because he's one of my favorite artists of all time.
Alice Cooper stuff
Alex,
is
yeah.
great.
Uh, but yeah, I mean, music I could sit and go on and on about.
Um, let's see. I see where Russell was talking about the 60s film The Trip with Peter Fonda, Bruce Dern, Dennis Hopper is a classic. Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen The Trip. I need to, that's another one I need to go back and watch. And Easy Rider with
Yeah,
Peter Fonda and Dennis Hopper and Jack Nicholson.
I,
And
yeah.
I absolutely love that. It's got a bummer of an ending, um, but it's still a fantastic film, though, and it really takes a snapshot of that time period, which is one of my favorite time periods. The
Yeah.
mid to late '60s into
Mhm.
the '70s. Yeah, that's my jam right there. Uh, let's see. Um, Chris says Beetlejuice is kind of hard, though.
I, yeah,
I was waiting for somebody to say that, but I don't know. I think of it as mostly comedy, though.
it's a little bit of everything.
Um, let's see. Hey, Tom. Um, Tom says hello to everybody. Um, and Chris says Nothing But Trouble is my favorite Chevy Chase movie.
Good one.
Oh, I don't know if Candace has seen this movie. Here we go.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry about that, folks. Hold on. Reg. Oh boy, the life of having 5 dogs in the house. Candace and Chris are coming up close to what
Hell,
I got. They've got 3.
it's stopping right there. Going no further.
But to get back to what Russell was saying, love the slasher film Cruising with Al Pacino, and he was great in Justice for All and Serpico and Dog Day Afternoon. Now, I would like to see Serpico, but I haven't seen that. But I have seen Cruising,
I've not
and
heard about it. I know what. I know what.
yeah, Candace knows what it's about. So yeah, Cruising. That movie's a little bit of an acquired taste. I can't see everybody liking it, but I think it's an interesting little film and definitely has its place in movie history because it's a very well made film, whether you agree with the subject matter or not, let's say. Um, it's still a very well made film.
And one Pacino film that I really used to, I still like it, but I used to be really big into it was Taxi Driver.
Yes, Taxi Driver. Yeah. That's another one I need to go back and watch. I haven't watched for a while.
I used to be obsessed with Taxi Driver. I don't know why, but I was.
It's a very dark movie, but again, it's a very well made movie and well acted movie
Yeah.
as well. Um, well, thank you, Tom. I appreciate that. He said, still the best thumbnails on YouTube. I don't know about that, but I thank you for saying so. Sometimes I work really hard on those thumbnails because I've heard that if you make a great thumbnail or a good thumbnail, an eye catching thumbnail, then that's going to make people want to watch your stuff. So that's why I try to take care with the thumbnails. Um, the poet says, "Love Castaway, my top Hanks film." Um,
Watch Castaway. And my brother, like I think I've told the story about Rob Zombie's Halloween about him about passing out whenever Michael takes that boy out in the woods and it's like beating him.
oh yes,
Uh, I remember we watched Castaway, and he's probably younger at that time, and whenever he hit, hits his leg on that jagged rock and the blood, my brother about passed out.
your poor brother.
Yeah, I mean, he don't he don't like stuff like. But then
Well,
again,
I almost cried on Castaway when Wilson floated out to sea. He's like Wilson, because that's the only. I mean, it wasn't a person, but he drew a face on Wilson and everything, and he didn't have anybody else to talk to on that island.
hand print or something like that. Ain't it?
Hmm.
Oh my goodness.
Um, Russell says, "Nothing But Trouble" is a great Chevy Chase and Dan Aykroyd film. It certainly is. Um, Russell also says he's a big fan of Mean Streets. Now, I have Mean Streets on DVD, but I have never watched it. I've had it for years in my collection, but I haven't watched it. Um, Tom says you can't debate taste in movies. I just left another live chat because everyone hated Kubrick's movies. Please.
Oh, I'm a Stanley Kubrick fan.
Oh yeah, you gotta know if you saw me and Candice do the Clockwork Orange watch along, which
One of my favorite movies of all time. And
I think that was my top stream of all time, Candice, since
yeah,
I've been doing this one.
that was a really fun one. I was really excited about that because I love Clockwork Orange. Um, and that kind of showed whenever I met Malcolm McDowell the two times that I did at the same show on the same day. Two different
Exactly.
ends. But I love A Clockwork Orange. I remember the first time I ever watched it because I'd heard about it growing up because it was one of those films that my dad is I always call like the stuff my dad always found taboo. Like
Yeah, exactly.
my dad was like, my uncle used to watch it, or he said that's that movie that his brother would watch, and he's riding around on a big, what.
Well, my dad always referred to it as that stupid orange movie, but I told y'all about the part my dad came in, and I was so embarrassed when he picks up the chicks in the record store and
Uh,
takes them home.
well, at least it's in fast motion. That's what I told you.
My dad, and I know my face flushed because you couldn't get it turned off fast enough, and Dad just stood there and he looked at it for a couple of seconds, and he looked at me. And he said, "Dana, what in the world are you watching?" And I said, it's called A Clockwork Orange. He said, what? I said, it's called A Clockwork Orange, Dad. I can't explain it to you. You would just have to watch it. And he's like, I ain't watching that. He just forever refers to that as that stupid orange movie.
Oh, I love it. I love Malcolm McDowell. I think that you know, his portrayal of Alex was just, I don't know. It's, I can see where it's an acquired taste for some people,
Uh-huh.
but I loved it. I love the art of, like, the artsiness of it, because I've heard people say, "Oh, it's an artsy film." I don't really see it as an artsy film, but I can see where they can get that from. I just, I think that the electro, like Beethoven, or it's I don't know. It's a real horror show, I guess. That's what I can say. Great film. I love it.
Yeah, I love it too. I always have. But I can see where some people, I guess, it's just not their cup of tea.
Definitely.
The poet says, what? They hated 2001 A Space Odyssey and Full Metal Jacket?
No, I like 2001: A Space Odyssey. No, Full Metal Jacket was never my brother really liked that one. My dad watched that one. He liked that one.
Full Metal Jacket's hard one to watch.
Hard to
Very hard.
watch. I know some films that I watch have a lot of cussing in it, but that one was really excessive for me. Um, I've never been one for
It's a very well made movie, but it's very, very dark.
torture type aspect of it. I never really, and it was so weird that my brother liked that film because he just hated somebody getting tortured. And the one guy in it, I forget his name, um, the one that gets beat and stuff. Um, I forget his name now. Well, anyway, that really, it bothered me. Which is
Um,
against army films, but they're just not my favorite. Because I love Good Morning Vietnam with Robin Williams,
oh yeah, that one. Yeah, it's great.
stuff like that. But
And I've watched Casualties of War. That's a hard one to watch, but they're well made, but some of
yeah,
them are just so hard to watch.
I,
Apocalypse Now, um, uh,
Apocalypse Now, that one in Platoon.
Born on the 4th of July is a hard one to watch too. Um, yeah, most war movies are
Yeah,
hard to
yeah,
watch.
Army Now with Polly Shore.
Right. Now
I like
those are easier watches, but
somebody I really really liked growing up was Polly Shore, and I know that she's taken, but I really loved Polly Shore films. I loved In the Army Now, Bile. My favorite was Encino Man. I mean, my one of
speaking
my first crushes was Brendan Fraser in that film.
oh yeah. Speaking of Polly Shore though, have you ever seen Phantom of the Mall, Eric's Revenge?
I've heard of it. I know he's in it.
He shows his butt in it. He like shows pulls down his pants, shows his butt on a security camera in the mall.
I really loved his weasel character, and I love. And I'll tell you, my
Yeah.
favorite Pauly Shore film is Son-in-Law.
Son-in-law, yeah, yeah.
Tommy Boy was a big comedy. Talking about comedy, that was the big one in my house. Is Tommy Boy? Would you,
Oh gosh, yes.
fat guy in a little coat? You know.
That guy in the little coat.
Oh my goodness, he's really
Black Sheep was good too. I love the stuff that Chris Farley did with David Spade. I mean that
I
stuff.
love Chris Farley. I would marry him. I mean, I just love Chris Farley. I thought that he was just comedic genius. He was just
Mhm.
adorable. And I love David Spade. I love Joe Dirt. That was a big one.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, but I loved them together because David Spade would be kind of like
The
the straight
straight
guy,
man.
but always like a jackass. You know. Uh,
Yeah, he was a jackass, but he was the straight man too. He's
and he got himself into more trouble than anything, really, because I mean, because where he was trying to balance out Chris Farley's craziness, it would just get him in trouble when he was just kind of trying to be straight laced, but he couldn't be. But Black Sheep was hilarious. That scene where Chris Farley like rolls down the hill. It's awesome. I love it.
Let's see. Tom says, I've seen it on other chats. Some people don't like slow, long movies. Well, yeah, there are some people, and I'm not saying this to be mean, but some people cannot appreciate a slow burn. And I'm not saying that's a fault in their character. It's just they can't appreciate a slow burn. Now, a well made movie that's a slow burn, I can appreciate it all day long and into the night. But some people just don't like that type of
Well,
movie.
I'm seeing a lot of people, which I think what I've seen of it so far looks phenomenal. And I love Bill Skarsgård. I've got the hugest crush on him ever. And my brother is like the biggest Nosferatu fan in the world. I don't think I've ever met anybody such a huge fan as him, which I'm sure they are, but I mean, I've just never met them. So I'm really excited to see this new Nosferatu, but I've seen a lot of people that they don't like it. They say it's like a slow burn. I was thinking, well, maybe it is, but I still want to watch it.
Candice, I'm going to take myself out of here. I know you can't see the comments, but I'll be right back. I just got to get Reg in there.
Well, she's left me by myself again. No, I'm kidding. I left her by herself for almost 30 minutes. So, yeah, I mean, I can appreciate a film if it's a slow burn. I can't really think of any off the top of my head. Uh, but you like what you like. That's something that you know, people can all day long argue about what's good and what's not, but it doesn't matter. It's what you like. And to somebody it could be the worst film in the world, but to you, it's fantastic. I'm sure that I like some stuff that people's like, what you know, what do you like? Why do you like this film? But I also thought of another film that I really loved. Really loved. It's comedy. I consider comedy. Is Earth Girls Are Easy.
Oh, yeah. I love me some Jeff Goldblum.
I know. Oh, that was always one of my favorites growing up, and still is. I mean, that's one that you pop in to feel nostalgic and just to have watch that during sleepovers and stuff. Like Earth Girls Are Easy, and my dad liked it too, probably to see Gina Davis.
Back in my day, it was like the sleepover stuff was Dirty Dancing with Patrick Swayze or something like. I know, Candace said.
I
Back in
don't.
the 80s when I was growing up, that's what we watched. Oh, Patrick Swayze.
But now, when we'd have sleepovers, my best friend at the time, she loved a movie called My Boyfriend's Back, and that's all she ever wanted to rent. And I told her, I said, I don't want to rent My Boyfriend's Back again. Dad or
Please, no more of that.
yeah, those two I always wanted to rent. I was like, oh my gosh.
Well, I'll tell you the honest truth, Candace, though, and I probably said this before. Back when all my girlfriends were watching and salivating over Patrick Swayze, I didn't get it then. It took me years before I, became a fan of Patrick
Well,
Swayze.
I like Patrick Swayze.
But you don't like.
I've never been attracted to him, no.
Mhm.
I have a certain type, I guess.
Well, I think all women have a certain type, and
Never did it for me.
let's see.
Michael Keaton, I always loved Michael Keaton. And I don't even talk about Michael Keaton, talking about comedies. My favorite actor of all time, Michael Keaton. I mean, Gung Ho, Night Shift, one of the greatest movies to me of all.
Oh yeah, yeah.
With Henry Winkler, that film was huge in my house and still is. And Henry Winkler is just the sweetest person ever.
I wish I had met Henry
Oh my
Winkler.
gosh, he's just so lovable. But yeah, I love Mr. Mom, Multiplicity. I mean,
I love Mr. Mom.
Mr. Mom, my dad, he could say it. He would quote it all the time. I can't do it off the top of my head, but I could just hear him saying it because it was one of my dad's favorite like comedy scenes. And he would talk about like whenever they was trying to get that blanket from his kid, and
Yeah,
he's
the Whoopee.
The whoobies, and next time they strung out on a heating blankets or something like electric blankets, something like that.
Yeah, yeah, I remember that conversation with
My
that.
dad could tell it, and he could say every word of it, and
And
but I
when he was dropping his kids off and
yeah,
like, "You're doing it wrong," he said, "I'm not doing it wrong." The kids were saying, "Dad, you're doing it wrong," when he pulled up to school. And then he gets up there to Annette, I think was her name,
yeah.
and she said, "You're doing it wrong."
Yeah, I love it. I'll tell you some new comedies that I really find funny, and this the Daddy's Home films. That's got um, uh,
Yeah.
Farrell and
Mhm.
Mark Wahlberg and John Lithgow, and I think I forget who all's in it, but I love those two. I think those are funny. Those are some funny, like newer comedies. Um, I just thought I'd mention those in case nobody's ever seen them, but I enjoyed them. I think they're funny.
Well, you might introduce somebody to something different, Candace, because I know of them, but I don't think I've watched any of
Well,
them.
the second one, Daddy's Homes too. There's because Mel Gibson's in that one, and he's Mark Wahlberg's dad, and they all go to like this cabin for Christmas because they're all going to have Christmas together, and Mark Wahlberg's stepdaughter, who he's afraid to discipline, comes in and turns up or turns down the thermostat or turns up the thermostat, and they said, "You still fiddling with the thermostat?" Like that whole scene. You just gotta look it up and watch it. I always thought that
Check that out.
you letting her fiddle with the thermostat. That was funny.
Chris says, "I think Ghostbusters is a comedy with horror elements." Yeah, yeah, I see that definitely. And I guess he says it was Letterman. I guess that's the Andy
I thought
Kaufman.
it was at first, but I couldn't remember.
Let's see. Oh gosh, I don't know if I want to read that off or not.
No, not.
I'm
No,
gonna take that off there. Candace
I
is gonna get all weirded out there. Um, let's see. Russell mentions in the Great Wide Open
had
video with Johnny Depp.
that one.
I one that I think I talked about this before. I don't know if I talked about it on a live stream. I may have talked about it with Candace, but ZZ Top's song "Sleeping Bag." I did not know that Heather Langenkamp was in that, and maybe I just got my mind in the gutter all the time. But when I listen to that song, it talks about sliding to my sleeping
Oh,
bag. And what I'm thinking is a couple is getting in a sleeping bag and they're going to town,
wait, find out what pearl necklace means.
Right.
Where's the neck? Not with jewels, please.
Right, exactly.
Don't look that up.
But if you watch the sleeping bag video, it's basically Heather Langenkamp and this guy running to try to find this money or whatever, or get this money from these thieves or whatever. It doesn't have anything to do with anything sexual. So,
One of my dad's favorite bands was ZZ Top, so I grew up with ZZ Top, and I've always said that they are the space cowboys. I mean, the true space cow because their music is so different, especially
mhm.
around the Eliminator, Recycler, and Afterburner era. Uh,
Afterburner, I think, is my favorite
After
album.
Recycler, I love them both. I love Eliminator too. I love a lot of. I mean, I grew up, like I said, listening to all their albums, especially their '80s stuff. But I don't know. I like them both. I really don't know which one I like better.
I think the reason why I like Afterburner so much is I'm gonna put this out here. I'm gonna get kind of gushy and mushy, so y'all can tune out if you want to. Some of you guys, but Steve, and I think I've told Candace's story before. Steve, when way before we met, Steve still had hair then. He had his hair up, and he said that was kind of wimpy ponytail I had, but he had a little bit of a ponytail and stuff. So he had enough hair to do that. And I don't care that Steve doesn't have hair now, you know. But so anyway, this was in his much younger days, and he had a job at Walmart, and he took a week off or something from his job at Walmart and just was going to sit around just watch movies and stuff. So he decided to make a tape for his buddy Jeff. And he would talk about the movies kind of like we do now. And so he said, "This is what happens in this one, Jeff." And he, I need this. I, I would like to show those videos. I think I showed those clips one time, but because there's music going on in the background of some of them, YouTube will get me for, especially the ZZ Top song that's playing. But anyway, during one of the scenes, like he had extra tape, and Steve was just kind of showing off. And of course, we were new to our relationship. I was like, "Oh, there's my handsome man there," before I even knew him. And he was like getting down on one knee and showing his muscles and stuff like that. And, as a young man. And playing behind him was Rough Boy by ZZ Top. And I think that is why I love the Afterburner album so much, because it has that Rough Boy song, and I associate that with Steve and
Yeah.
being in love with Steve. And so y'all can say, stop talking about that, stop talking about that now. But Candace knows where I'm coming from
Oh
with that,
yeah,
I'm sure.
I do.
Um, but like I said, I'd love to be able to show all those clips, because that's kind of a snapshot of Steve's life when he was, uh, late teens. Probably, I thought it was late teens, but it could have been after he got out of the army. I don't know. It was
Yeah.
either late teens or early 20s when he was doing that. But he was pretty young. Um, let's see. Oh, Race with the Devil, Tom. I love Race with the Devil. That is a scary movie, especially the end scene. If the rest of the stuff didn't scare you, that end scene. Have you seen Race with the Devil, Candace?
My dad watched it. I don't think I've ever sit down and watched it or anything like that though, but it's one I know about.
Yeah, I mean, it has to do with Satan worship and stuff like that. It's very, very dark film, but a very good film, well made. And, that last scene always gets under my skin, and stuff doesn't get under my skin very much. But throughout the film, you have all these things happening. These people are traveling in an RV, and these poisonous snakes get in the cabinets of their RV, and it just all kinds of bad things happen. And then they think they're safe, and then bam, something very scary happens at the end. I don't want to give it away in case people haven't
That's
seen it.
my dad is what, because he wasn't into horror. It must be a different one I'm thinking about.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there could have been another one called Race with the Devil.
The one I'm thinking about is kind of like like a, I don't know, it's kind of like a duel, type thing. But
Oh,
it's
I
like,
got you.
I can't remember what it's called though.
Steve got me. I think he got me like a double Blu-ray, I think, and it has Race with the Devil and shoot, what is? I think Dirty Mary, Crazy Larry,
Oh
which is a great car film,
yeah,
but it has a bummer ending too. All I'm gonna say is Unload,
yeah.
uh, and people that have seen that movie will know what I'm talking about there.
My dad loved any kind of like racing movies and stuff like that. And
He'd probably seen Vanishing Point. Vanishing
yeah,
Point's another one that's really good, but it has a bummer of an ending to it.
Vanishing Point, the one where Cochise.
I think so. I
Oh,
think
it's
so.
one of my favorite bands, which is Chris Cornell fronted band after he left Soundgarden, was called Audio Slave, and
Uh-huh.
they have a song called Cold Cheese, which is it's a homage to, I think their actual name Audio Slave comes from, I think it's Vanishing Point. If Chris is on here, he probably could tell me. I can't remember.
Mhm.
But it's got them and they're racing, and it's got Law chasing after them. At the beginning, it's got the guy, the DJ, and he's sitting there talking about, you
Mhm.
know, all that stuff. And um, they come to a point where these cops have a roadblock, and they like jump this thing and jump over them, and they like crash or whatever.
Yeah, that's gotta have the connection with
I always love that
mhm.
video, and I think it was my brother or something. I was like, "Hey, that's from." I think it was Vanishing Point. He said, and that's whenever I learned
I
that.
bet it is, yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've seen Vanishing Point. I need to revisit it because I'm like, I love car films like that or car chase films, and because I really liked Death Proof.
Yeah.
Me and Steve both love Death Proof. And in Death Proof, the second group of girls are talking about being gearheads and liking car films and stuff like that. And the one girl, Kim, says, "Yeah, I like that pretty and pink shit and stuff like that, but I was also a gearhead, so I like these car films." Um,
Like I can see this now, Dana. I found out how to look at the comments. Chris says that Cochise is a tribute to the Warriors. No, it's from like Vanishing Point. I can't look it up or nothing, but I think it's a racing film that my dad
it's that sounds
is.
right to
They're like
me.
a radio station in it, and like they talk about Audio Slave and about Cochise and stuff. It's something to do with one of those, because the film is a homage to the movie, because they're like racing, the cops are
Right.
them, and they like jump this big old like barrier or whatever, and they got this big roadblock. My brother, I believe we talked about it. He's like, "Hey, that's from Vanishing Point. That's what this is from." Pretty, I could be wrong, but it's a movie like that. That
Right.
like an homage to. If I could look it up, I
It
would.
sounds like Vanishing Point to me. So, Chris says, "My favorite music video of all time is Hell Song by Sum 41. If you haven't seen it, watch it." I haven't. I'll have to check
I've
that
seen
out.
a long time ago. I couldn't tell you what's that was early 2000s, like 2004, I guess. It's been so long since I've seen it. I couldn't. Is it where they're jumping in the pool, Chris?
And I did not know this about Russell, but he said he survived the Alice Cooper ride in Toronto years
Oh,
ago. Wow.
I didn't even know that there was one. Did you? I've heard about like the Rolling Stone type stuff and
Yeah, there was like,
like
the. Have
Montreal.
you seen the Give Me Shelter film?
Mhm.
Where they made the members of the Rolling Stones watch that video of that guy getting stabbed over and over and over
It,
again.
the thing that happened with the Rolling Stones, wasn't it the Altamont or something like that?
Yeah, yeah, Altamont Speedway, I think. Yeah,
It was something to do with the Hills Angels.
yeah.
Hey,
Supposedly one of the Hell's Angels
they were doing,
stabbed a guy.
yeah, they were
Yeah.
doing security for them. Why they did that, I don't know. But on the cable guy, he's doing karaoke of uh, some Jefferson Airplane, and he's talking about it. It ain't funny, but
Uh,
funny how he talks about it on there. Anybody ever seen that movie? They probably know what I'm talking about.
and hey, Menelect. Menelect gave a $10 super
Right?
chat. Well, thank you, Menelect. I appreciate that. And Happy New Year to you as well. And Menelect, if you want to, pick a movie, um, and if you and Russell are the only ones that pick movies, you'll get yours for the Saturday and Sunday. The next time I do some watch alongs. Now you're welcome to, Menelect. I know last time he gave a super chat. He said, "Nah, I'm not gonna pick a movie," but You can. $10 is a lot to give for anybody to give, especially right now.
Yeah, definitely.
Uh, yeah, and the poet says, "Men elect, you can pick a movie for Dana to watch." It can even be one I hate. If somebody's going to give me $10 super chat, I'll watch a movie I hate. Um, Russell says the trucker film Highballing with Peter Fonda and Jerry Reed, filmed in Ontario, Canada, and bar fight scene in my hometown of Oakville, Ontario.
Wow. Um, my hometown. What was filmed here? Oh, Fire Down Below with Steven Seagal. I can't stand Steven Seagal, so I don't.
I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of Steven Seagal either.
Next of Kin was filmed here with Patrick Swayze, and
Oh, cool.
I think even Ben Stiller's in that film. Ben Stiller, what's his name? Nielsen, what's his name? It's like from like Ireland or Scotland
Oh, Liam Nielsen,
in it.
hmm
Um,
or Neeson, or how you pronounce his name.
Liam Neeson. Our local diner down here has them sitting there eating and stuff because they would after filming they would come and eat and stuff. It was filmed in one of our memorial gyms up here. It's really neat. And back at that time, people were like crazy, like going crazy because Patrick Swayze was here and all these stars were here. That's a great film. Next of Kin. Have you ever seen it, Dana?
That's one I need to watch.
Well, you like that one. It's a really good.
There's actually a horror movie called Next to Kin as
Oh, really?
well, which I have now. I managed to purchase it, but two totally different movies. So
Yeah.
let's see. Russell says, Dana, I have the 4K UHD and Blu-ray box set, and it comes with a cool hardcover book for Mean Streets. That sounds awesome. I haven't seen that, or that version of it.
I think I'm coming down with the flu or something, Dana.
Oh boy,
Unfortunately,
that's not
I
good.
thought it was hurting. I believe I've caught something. I hope not.
I hope not either. Me coming off of this COVID, I feel for anybody
Oh goodness!
that
And talk on a phone for a living. Not good. Oh,
um Russell says Platoon with Tom Berenger, Willem Dafoe,
my dad.
and Charlie Sheen. I love. Yeah, Platoon's one that I haven't seen for a while. Probably need to revisit. And you could be right on that, man. Like he says, 85% of horror fans detest slow burn movies. I think I'm probably the exception to the rule because if it's a good movie, but it's also a slow burn, I can handle it. But I think a lot of and again, I'm not trying to put anybody down, but I think a lot of newer horror fans have to have something bam, bam, bam happening all the time. So they can't really appreciate a slow burn as much as us old school
Yeah,
fans of it. One thing I can't stand is boring. But a slow burn movie doesn't mean that it's boring. It just means it leads up. There's a longer lead up to the big finale. Um, yeah, Casualties of War with Sean Penn and Michael J. Fox. Penn was great in the Juvie jail film Bad Boys. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Middle Age, you mentioned Dog Soldiers. Is that one that you would like me to do a watch along for? Because I'd be up for that. I think Steve has a copy of Dog Soldiers. I'm pretty sure. Um, and then Russell says Doomsday has Malcolm McDowell and Bob Hoskins in it.
I like Bob Hoskins. I like him.
Mm,
Roger Rabbit and Mermaids with Cher and Winona Ryder and
right, yeah. Um, Russell says Near Dark is finally on YouTube, and the one with commentary also. I love Near Dark. Near Dark is a great vampire film to me. I need to go back and watch it again too. Tom says, talking about Neil Marshall, a tiny British channel, Video Tasties, had him for 1 hour. They interviewed the writer and producer of Eastwood movies, the designer from Jaws, and so on. That's interesting. And Tom goes on to say, I mean, how some small channels get these legends. This channel is way better and great hosts. Well, thank you, Tom. What is Tom buttering me up for, I wonder? No, I'm just kidding, Tom. But thank you. I'm going to try to, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get anybody really big, but, I'm going to try to see if I can get some people on here that, maybe me and Candice can get somebody on here and interview them for Friday Foolish or something like that. If Candice feels comfortable doing that.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see. Russell says Michael J. Fox was great in the rock and roll film Light of Day with Joan Jett as his sister. I still need to watch Light of Day.
I've seen that one either.
Because it looks like a really, really good movie. Well, thank you, Tom. Tom says Evil Dead chick is way better. Oh, and thank you, Russell. Boy, these boys are ganging up on me here to butter me up. I better get ready for a bombshell. No, guys, I'm kidding. Tommy say Michael Ironside also went on, but the host and interviewer is weak. Michael Ironside I always thought was a great actor. He plays such disdainful characters, but he's a great actor though. Okay, Russell, you're gonna put us on the spot here. He says, "What was Jodie Foster's second film?" Hint: roller derby. And I don't know. Do you know, Candace?
No.
I'm drawing a blank. I love Jodie Foster, but
when she was a kid, she was in a film I liked. I think it was Disney. It was called Candlestick, something.
I didn't see that one, but I remember watching her in Freaky Friday.
Right, I think it's called the Candlewick, or something like that. I'd have to look it up. I can't quite remember off the top of my head, but I remember I liked that when I was a kid.
Tom also says, have Cheetah Will View has fun guests, but no one famous, and he's better than Video Tasties. I never heard of Video Tasties.
I'm not either.
Russell says, I met Michael Ironside, and Michael Ironside, I believe, is Canadian, at an AA meeting in Toronto years ago. I didn't even know he was in AA. Tom says, Monsters, Madness, and Magic, I like, but how does he get to interview these very famous people? Tom, I have wondered that about a lot of different people, and it's not that I think that they're bad or anything. It's just, how do they get so lucky to get connected with these people is what I want to know. Russell says Dirty Mary, Crazy Larry is a classic, but the train ended that. Yeah, pretty much did, Russell. You are correct on that. Let's see. Tom says Evil Dead chick will be the best interviewer and host. The passion and the knowledge. Well, I don't know about the knowledge, but I do have the passion, Tom. Oh, really, Russell? Race with the Devils on 4K? Oh, I'm going to have to get that. So Chris answered you earlier when you were talking about the Hell song. Chris says, no, that's in too deep. How long is the video with all the action figures? I'm not sure if there's some static on your phone now, Candace. I'm hearing some kind of weird. It sounds like something swimming in water. I'm not sure what it was.
Is it gone?
Well, now you're sounding staticky. I must be my voice coming through on that side. Do I sound weird to you?
No.
That's strange. Okay.
Wait, you're trying to break up a little.
Okay. I think it's a robotic voice on. Well, Candace dropped out for a second. Maybe, hopefully, she'll come back. Let's see. Hey, Coco. Coco says, check out Two Lane Blacktop from the early 70s with a young James Taylor. Good flick. I think I've watched Two Lane Blacktop, Coco. It's been a while. I'll probably need to go back and watch it. Chris, you say you lucked out by meeting Michael Ironside when he did a free signing in Harhound about 10 years ago. Got my Scanners VHS signed. Now, that is lucky, Chris. Yeah, I think it was my voice coming in on the other side through Candace's phone or something, Chris. It was weird. Um, Russell, you say Jodie Foster's second film was Kansas City Bomber as Raquel Welch's daughter. Ah, okay. I guess I haven't seen Kansas City Bomber. But I didn't hear back from Menelec, but I'm going to put Dog Soldiers uh, down. I'm going to write that one down. Hopefully, I didn't miss anything. Well, I'm not sure if I'm going to get Candace back or not. Let me see if I can send her a message or not. So that one's on YouTube too, Russell? Okay, cool. I love YouTube. Most of the time I do. Well, I'm waiting to hear back from Candace. If anybody has any other questions that they would like to ask me, because if I can't get Candace back, I'll probably cut things off here in a minute or two. And since it seems like Russell and Menelect gave super chats of $5 or more. Thank you guys again very much, by the way. We'll be doing the next time I do watch alongs, I'll do one for Thief with James Caan and one for Dog Soldiers. So the next Saturday I do one will be Thief, and the next Sunday I do one will be for Dog Soldiers. Oh, there's Candace. Okay. There she is.
I'm in my bathroom where my cord was.
Oh, okay. Was you running out of battery?
When I got off of there, I looked and it was about ready to die. So yeah, I was like, oh no. And Chris come out when I went in. He was like, what was going on with your phone?
Well, at first I thought, is Candace like squeezing some lotion or something like that? But then I kept hearing it and I was like, there's something going on here. Okay.
Yeah, so I just come to the bathroom because I said, well, because this is where my cord was. And I was like, I got to rush on there.
Well, I think what we'll do so that, Candace doesn't have to sit there and try to charge a phone and do this, that we'll try to tie things up because we've been on here, well, with me and Candace, we've been on here for over an hour. So,
Yeah.
but I've had a lot of fun with this one. Sometimes it's good just to have a loosey goosey type of stream where you don't really have a set theme or anything like that.
While I could join, I know I was like 30 minutes late, but
Oh no, that's okay. I mean, we all have things that, sometimes I have things that go on and sometimes Candace does. Sometimes we both do. Sometimes Dana gets busy doing something, forgets about Friday Foolish like I did. So, and that's not good to do, but it happens.
well, it happens.
Oh, Russell, I got to bring this up since you brought that up before we get off here. Love the Magic Christian with Peter Sellers and Ringo Starr and Raquel Welch.
We talked about that the other day.
Yes, Steve says he never wants to watch that movie ever again, but whatever. And Caveman with White Barber Bob. Now, if I had to pick my favorite between the two, it'd be the Magic Christian.
Yeah, Caveman was just not.
Caveman was okay, but I don't know. I just love the comedy in the Magic Christian. It's got that great British comedy, and I absolutely love British comedy. There's just nothing like it.
So we're having another first. Somebody filming from their live streaming from their toilet.
Yeah.
You're inside the captain's quarters. This is Fred up here.
Oh, okay. Well,
he's an original.
You can't really tell that's a bathroom, Candace.
Oh, really?
Not unless you would show us the toilet or something.
Well, yeah, I'm not going to do that. I think I'll refrain from that.
But where you're positioned at, it almost looks like you're in a dining room or something.
Well, I probably shouldn't have said anything.
You could have had me fooled. But I love the blue in there. I love the blue.
Yeah, yeah. This is most people don't have creepy captain's original oil paintings in their bathroom. I don't think he's creepy.
Interesting though. I like it.
I love him, so I'm showing you him. That's what.
Fred. He said he's smoking his pipe.
I love him, but I remember when we first put him in here because I got I wanted it to be like Gilligan's Island, met like some creepy But Chris was like, "You're not buying that creepy paint," and I said, "Yes, I am." And I brought him home.
It's not creepy though. I don't think he's creepy.
Well, he likes him now. He's growed on him because when people come in, they're like, "Where'd you get that?"
Yeah, he's just watching over you, and
he's very old. I never was able to find an artist who painted him, but whoever they were, I like it.
I like it too. I think it's a cool picture. Tom says, you don't know about movie knowledge. Your Lucio Fulci videos and presentations were amazing. Well, thank you, Tom. Tom's really making me feel better about myself.
Yeah. Well, he's right though.
I try. I mean, that's about all I can do. But guys and gals, because I saw Coco was in here. There's definitely another gal in here besides me and Candace. I have enjoyed this, but I really don't want Candace to have to feel like she's got to be in there, plugged in and all that stuff. Trying to keep her phone charged. So. But this has been a lot of fun, and I'd like to do one of these again in the future. And I loved having Candice on here with me once again because she keeps me from totally sucking on here.
That's not true at all. Well, hopefully next Friday the laptop situation fixed and I can be back at the desk.
Yeah, that's probably more comfortable for you, I would imagine too.
Yeah, I had no because you were not making a noise at first. I had no idea that my phone was making that kind of noise. Chris was like, "It sounded like somebody was licking the bottom of your phone." But then you started kind of breaking up, and I was like, "Oh, something's wrong here." So
Right. I was like, what? Like I said, I thought maybe you were squeezing lotion into your hands because it sounded like something going.
yeah, Chris said like a
Yeah.
Slurpee or something.
But but I want to thank Candace for being on here with me again this evening. You know, hopefully we won't have the apocalyptic ice storm. I hope we'll get to see everybody again here soon. I'm gonna be doing Monday. I should be doing another corn on the cob. For that seemed pretty popular. I was surprised that that video had as many views on, or the stream had as many views as it did. And I'll be starting some Dick Randall ones. Dick Randall was another producer. He had a lot more output than Sandy Cove did. So and I'm not trying to be completely nasty. I'm trying to have a play on words. It's going to be called Dick's Picks. So because I've started to go the other way and
Yeah,
have
but
it be
we talked about whenever you first told me about that. I was like, I think it's fun.
so. So that'll be coming up and lots of good stuff. Check out the shop at deaditesondeck.com as well for candles and t-shirts and tote bags and mouse pads and tumblers and all kinds of other stuff coming soon as I get off my lazy butt and get it on the site. um well, thank you, Russell. Russell says good night and had a great time as always, Dana and Candace.
Good
He
night.
had something else there. I don't know if that was just like autocorrect or something was doing something, but he put Dana and Candace
Thank you for
underneath it.
watching.
Yeah, thank you all for turning out for this special Friday Foolish. Ask us anything special, and y'all had a lot of great questions. There's a
I
lot of great.
like this.
I do too. I
Um,
do too.
I think that it allows us to explore a variety of topics, and I enjoy that. I mean, it's just like a natural conversation that you're having with your friend. You kind of you would kind of go with the flow, and that's kind of what this feels like. We're just talking with a bunch of friends, gathering with them, and talking with them about things. So it kind of to me, it feels a little bit more personal.
I think so too. Yeah, because we didn't just talk about movies.
Yeah,
We didn't just talk about music. We talked about a variety of things. And like I said, you guys and gals had a lot of great questions. And be gathering up some more when me and Candace do another one of these Ask Us Anything. But I guess we're going to get out of here, and me and Candace are going to be off like a couple of dirty shirts. Our shirts ain't dirty, but we're going to be off like a couple of them. And I want to remind everybody, as I always do, to be kind to one another and blaze that trail. And also, I cannot impress upon everybody enough that everybody has disagreements. They have disagreements with friends, they have disagreements with family members. It happens. You know, I have disagreements with Steve. I'm sure Candace has disagreements with Chris. You know, we're not going to go into details about it with you guys. Because I don't think that would be appropriate. But I just want to remind everybody, if you've had trouble or any issues, disagreements with friends or family members this past year, there's no time like the present to extend an olive branch, extend words of kindness and forgiveness, because we're not promised a tomorrow. That's something that me and Candace have talked over
Yeah.
bunch of times that
Yes.
nobody is promised tomorrow.
But I do want to add to that too, and I know Dana will agree that some people are toxic and you don't need them in your life. So don't just, somebody
That that is correct.
but people who you love that you may have a spat with, don't let the opportunity pass up to try, like Dana said, to extend the olive branch and just let it mend, let it heal. It's healing for you, it's healing for everybody else. I mean, it's worth it. It really is.
Yes. Yes, it is. And we don't, when we end our time on this earth, or when the person we're having the issue with ends their time on this earth, we don't want to have any regrets.
No.
But Candice is right. And I'm glad she brought up the toxicity of certain people. Some people we don't need
No.
in our life. And if they exit our life, then let them go.
You ever heard of the old saying, "Love them from afar"? You
Hmm.
can love them, you can, in your heart, but somebody's bad for your life. Just keep them out of there. But if somebody adds something to your life, don't let them slip away.
Right.
Yeah, and I know we're getting mushy, but I mean, it's
uh,
advice, I think.
well,
And I'm
thank
so
you.
glad that Dana says that. If her, because I've really enjoyed her adding that to each, stream that she does, because it helps remind people that, hey, everybody goes through things,
Hmm.
but sometimes you just need to heal, and part of that healing is reaching out to somebody that you may didn't think to. You know what I mean?
Right. And you may make somebody's day.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have just reached out to people before, or have had people reach out to me just out of the blue. I always bring this up, and I don't want to make anybody real sad, so I'm going to tell this really quickly. There was a guy that went to school with and graduated high school with. His name was Dave. And I, at one time had the biggest crush on this guy.
Yeah.
But we never
Man.
clicked
Yeah.
that way. So, but he was always nice. He was always a sweet guy. And when I first moved to Louisville and Steve and I first got married, I was having a really tough time adjusting to Louisville. And I was crying every day and wanted to go back to my mom and dad's. And I'm sure Candace had, early in her and Chris's marriage had the same,
Yeah.
sort of feelings. A lot of women do.
Yeah.
Um, it doesn't mean they don't love their husband. It just
Yeah.
means that adjustment's a tough thing
It is
sometimes.
something new, especially.
And so I was having a really tough time. And then out of the blue, Dave messaged me on Facebook Messenger and said, "Hey, I was just thinking about you, Dana. How you been doing?" And all that. And that meant the world to me. And several years later, um, Dave got cancer and has since passed away. Um, but you know what? I thought when Dave passed away, I was sad because I'd lost a good friend and
Yeah.
stuff. But I also thought of the good things that when Dave was alive, the good things that he did.
Yeah.
Just out of the blue messaging me. And that was something that I told Dave's wife. And I know she appreciated being told,
Yeah.
how much Dave helped somebody. Um, and I wrote, this how I felt about Dave passing away, how I felt like I didn't know whether to be sad because I'd lost my friend, or happy that Dave was no longer in pain and he was with
Yeah.
God now and all that. And I'm not trying to get super religious on anybody or anything. I'm just saying that, me and Candace talking back and forth and talking to you guys and talking about all this stuff is you never know when you're going to need somebody.
Yeah, definitely. I need people all the time.
And what if I had gotten real mad at Dave and pushed him away
Yeah.
just because I couldn't have a romantic relationship with him? What if I had done that? Then chances are Dave wouldn't have reached out at
Yeah.
that moment when
You'd
I
have lost out on
needed
that.
him. Yeah, exactly. So that's the point of my story that got a little sad, but I don't want to make anybody, start crying or anything.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, thank you, Tom, for saying this was a great stream. Russell says he's going back to watching Mr. Ed. So have fun with Mr. Ed. I like Mr. Ed.
I do too. My grandpa loved Mr. Ed. Wilbur.
And so we're going to get on out of here, folks. But thank y'all so much for spending some time with us. And we'll be back with another Friday Foolish, hopefully next Friday, if we don't succumb to the apocalyptic ice storm. Maybe we won't have an apocalypse.
I've been calling it ice again.
Exactly. Yeah.
I got my bread. I got my milk. I'm fine.
Okay, great. You were able to get your milk and bread. That's awesome. Was there anything, Candace, that was like completely sold out where people would just rush to
Well,
it?
the bread was getting thin, but it was a mad house.
I
A
can
mad
imagine.
house. Yeah, pure madhouse.
Steve and I are gonna have to do, get some rations or whatever you want. We're gonna have to.
We're going to have to load up on some MRAs, some army rations.
Something. We're gonna have to do something just in case, or maybe we'll get lucky and just have a little bit of pretty snow, and it,
if we should be so lucky. I think we're supposed to get a little bit worse than what you are. So just pray for us, Dana.
I will. We'll pray for each other, and
yes,
we'll get through this. But
I've
anyway,
enjoyed it today. I've enjoyed this. I'm sorry I was late, and I'm sorry I had to
no.
my phone.
They kept me afloat in the chat, and I didn't go under. So
you got to see a little bit of the 1313 Mockingbird Lane here. You got to see the toilet, see my car,
exactly.
the coach. So,
but we're gonna skip on out of here, folks. But y'all take care and stay warm and safe and all that. And bye for now, folks. We'll see everybody next time.
See ya.